She trying. All right. Welcome to what am I saying? Let's Talk Nation Flag. I forget which show we running sometime. Hey, welcome to the Sit Down. I'm your man, Rod Love. And with me this evening is, I'm going to just start saying Sister Wynn.
Yes, sir.
We got Sister Wynn in the studio. And we have, everybody's familiar with Doc Polite. He's not wearing the brim tonight. I'm rhyming.
The favorite. The favorite.
You what?
I'm the favorite.
You the favorite?
Yeah, I
Come
got
on
some
now, man. You know what? We're not even gonna start the show off like that.
You the most fun they ever have when you on there.
I thought you was gonna reach down and pull one out the hat.
Yeah. You know, that's a good one. That's a good one. Hey Doc, hey man, I gotta give you some props, give you a lot of love. I love this new intro you got going on here.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
I mean,
I'm trying.
We don't fight all the time.
No.
Just a lot of the time. Just a lot of the time. Hey, so Doc, man, what you got going on, man? What's been happening with you? How was your weekend?
Oh, it was lovely. I watched college football this weekend. Something I normally don't do.
And he sure did, to the extent that he gonna call me and ask me, am I watching?
But it was good games. You know,
it was.
It was some good games. Colorado continues to confound the critics.
Yes, and I heard he's making it to a bowl this year.
Yeah, they eligible.
Correct, they're bowl eligible now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so they haven't been selected for one yet, but they can be selected for a bowl when it comes time for it.
I mean, going off of what you just said, Doc, they're bowl eligible, and they haven't been selected for one yet, and you really don't want to be selected for one yet this early because you can still lose some games.
Yes.
And you could. Hey, Doc.
Not only that, if you keep winning though, your selection or potential
is better.
bowl, is better. So, I am a Dion fan. I've always been a Dion fan because I respect anybody that can go out and do something the way that they want to do it and take full accountability. Even when he mess up, he takes accountability. When he's successful, then he does as well. So we can't criticize that.
I'm gonna take a different vantage point than what Doc just took.
Okay. I knew that was coming, Quee.
Yeah.
And then I'm gonna have my vantage point too.
You know what? I'm with Doc, but I'm not gonna walk all the way out on the plank with Doc on this one. I am so impressed. I am a Deion Sanders family fan because of the aspiration that he brings to the table. In his second year, no, I even take it back to his first year at Colorado. I was so impressed by the inspiration that he brought to these young men. Some of it was controversial based on, as soon as he got there, he told a lot of the team to pack up the leave.
But hey, listen, he was dealing with them in reality.
Yes.
He was telling them, some of you are not going to make it. Now,
no, he told a lot of you not going to make it.
Okay, but at least he was honest enough to give them an opportunity to go elsewhere. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
And so I respect him for that. It might have not have been what people wanted him to do, but he was honest enough and man enough to tell these young men, honestly, you're not going to fit into my program. Based on, my review of your past playing here, you're not going to fit in. So, he got all rights to do that as a coach.
Yeah.
And
so,
to me,
but hey, Quee, hold on. Let me stop you before we go too far in. Do you know that you're sitting next to a gridiron legend? When they say, Greg say it's a poor frog that don't toot his own horn, so he ain't gonna toot his horn, so I'm gonna toot it for him. I did not know the degree in which this guy played college football. See, I never played college football. I played a little intramural tackle football when I was stationed in Europe. We had teams and everything. But that's as far as I got to playing that type of football. I played a little bit in high school, and I got a job, and that was the end of that because I like money more than I like playing football. But anyway, Rod has numerous records at Youngstown State, and Rod, I've learned something else about him this weekend, and I was just amazed. I had to tell my wife the story. I hope you don't mind me telling it.
Depending on which one you're going to tell, but go ahead.
I did not know this dude was in a plane crash.
Oh, I didn't know that.
See, the Lord been covering me for a long time.
Yes,
Wow.
yes.
I'm gonna. What? Back when you were playing, was it YouTube? Can I go back to the arcade cover?
Well, I mean, it took place in 1984,
Okay.
and it was, we were flying, and Doc, I had the team wrong. I had the date right. I thought it was University of Cincinnati that we were playing,
Yeah.
but it was Austin P University, and we played.
Yeah,
Austin
that's where
P.
that Joker had 153 yards.
100 and some yards. I was balling. But
Yeah.
then one of the things that took place is we flew back into Lake Pittsburgh, I think it was, and our airplane hit the runway and ran off the runway, and we stopped short of going over in the Lake Erie.
Oh wow.
And
I
the
bet-
only reason why we basically stopped was it was the wintertime, snow,
The ice banks.
the landing gear was down, but because in the wintertime when the snow is melting and all that stuff, we skid off the runway and we went into this field, and there's a fence that separates after the airport that basically separates the landing from going over into Erie.
Wow.
And the landing gear got stuck in the muck, which stopped the plane.
Oh wow.
That's
So-
the grace of God.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
oh yeah.
Yes.
That is.
yes.
That is the grace of God.
And then we had
So-
a couple of my teammates. After a while, when everybody realized we were good, when those big, what do you call it? Those chutes come out of the plane, where you're supposed to
Slide down.
jump on your behind and slide down.
Uh-huh.
We had a couple of teammates that just thought it would be fun to dive, head first.
Oh gee.
And they didn't realize that it was like maybe a foot or two of muck. And a couple of them got stuck head first in the muck.
That's
But-
what happened when you don't pay attention.
That's what
So
happened when
follow the rules.
Hey, and
Follow-
So when did it hit you?
when did it hit me?
Yeah. About what happened?
Shoot, when they couldn't stop the plane. When we really.
No, I mean, because you can attribute that to a near-death experience.
Yeah.
And,
Well-
and sometimes it don't catch up with you.
Doc, I don't know that you really imagine near-death experiences when they come so fast. I mean, I don't think we have
I mean, but
fun.
you reflect back. I've had, I ain't gonna even get into me because I'm a crash test dummy for some reason. But the worst thing that ever happened to me is falling off a cliff and hanging on to a sapling to save my own life, and having my squad rappel down and get me. And I can tell you, while I was hanging on to that sapling tree,
Uh-huh.
I think that's the hardest I ever held on to anything in my life.
Man,
And,
Wow.
and imagine now, you remember I'm a soldier, so I got on a rucksack, I got an M16, a gas mask, and what's called a Prick 77 as a radio.
Heavy stuff.
So if I had let go, I'd have been like a ink blot. And I can tell you, it does. For me, it flashed before my eyes, and I was like, why I gotta die here?
Wow.
And so, I was wondering if you had such a, the same kind of reaction, like,
but
this
you know
is
what?
it.
I think, and I'll equate not having that kind of reaction to being young, dumb, and stupid. You know, I mean, 18, 19 years old.
But that's an experience though.
Yeah.
Do you
Yeah.
catch yourself kind of being afraid to get on a plane now?
I-
Just
I-
knowing.
I don't.
Okay.
I do know, and this goes back all these years. I didn't think about it until, and y'all know, Doc will call me at 10 o'clock, 10:30, and sometimes be like, okay, now if I answer this, it's gonna be
2 hours.
It's gonna
I
be 1
did
o'clock.
not, you did not tell me that story at no 10:30. You was telling me that I think it was about 9 o'clock.
No, did you think it was? You think
Yeah, because what's the name was still on?
Colorado didn't come on till 10 o'clock,
They don't come
Doc?
on till late.
Oh, you're right. I'm sorry. You're right. I forgot. Matter of fact, it ain't come on. It didn't come on at 10:30. So yeah, okay.
Man.
You got me. You got me.
See,
So
You know what I mean?
but I didn't think about it until Doc called me and we're talking about football. No, as a matter of fact, it was Miami that was playing at the time that Doc was, and we were talking about the Miami of new, the Miami of old.
Mm-hmm.
oh yeah,
They've come a long ways too.
yeah. Because
Yeah.
we were
They're
saying
coming along.
Miami is this Miami is good, but it's not like the old Miami.
Not the Michael
No, not
Irvin,
the-
not the
yeah.
Michael Irvin Miami.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But you know,
yeah.
none of the football these days are like it was in the Tony Dorsett age, and because I used to love to look at football, and I used to just wait for those good hits, like woo. But now you hit like that, you get the flag.
But you know what? Let me say this because this ties into the sit down tonight. Everybody's like, oh, they done turned into a sports show. No, we haven't turned. No, we haven't turned into a sports show. But our topic this evening, and I'm gonna go ahead and defer to Doc. But our topic this evening was, what is the relevance? What's the importance of developing a strong work ethic in young people, men, kids, early, but then also, what is the benefit of identifying what is their passion while they're young, so that as they develop through grade school and start getting to a point where, everybody asks you, what do you want to be when you grow up?
Yep.
That these young people, through some tutelage, through some support, we can navigate and see, what are you passionate about? I mean, my oldest, Brianna, she is in her last year of nursing school at UCF, but she didn't immediately have that passion, though. I got to tell you, her major was in another area, and I was like, all right.
Okay.
And my wife was like, because I was saying, baby, did you look up what that major pays you once you graduate? And I said, shoot, she might as well stay home based on how much they start out making. And so I let it go by a year, and then I started having more conversation with her about looking at these professions that pay well. You can support yourself, a family.
Yeah.
But something that you and Doc brought up that we should have been doing much earlier, and that is having these conversations with our children when they're so young. I mean, yeah, it's good to look at the Cosbys back in the day, look at the Huxtables,
Yes.
but
yes.
we need to be talking to our own kids about what their passions are. And so, Doc,
That is
quick,
true.
y'all
That is
tell
true.
me. I mean,
Well, my passion was, I love to run track. I wanted to make it to the Olympics. That was my passion.
not killing your dream back then, but I hear a lot of young people say, and I was at, I'm not gonna mention what game, but I was at one of the high school games, and you heard the seniors through the announcement. These kids were talking about what they wanted to do post graduation. And you heard some of them wanted to go to vocational schools, which was great. You heard some of them wanted to continue their education at universities. But some of the first things that I heard was a lot of these young people saying that they wanted to play football, which is nothing wrong
Nothing wrong.
at the next level. and the next level would be collegiate.
Yes.
Because you just
Yes.
can't jump now like you used to.
Yes.
But-
You have to go through that process.
Yeah, but then I heard the focus on only going to college so that they can look at the professional level. And I mean, Doc can break it down and talk about the percentage that get there. You don't want to kill any dreams,
No, you don't.
but you want them to have a plan.
Right, but then some of you, they need to know reality.
Mm-hmm.
What low percentage will make it to the next level.
You're right. You're right.
And that percentage is real low on making it through.
So with that being the case, Doc, how do you build in or feed into young people's passion to try to pull out of them what it is that they have a passion to do so that they can look at how you monetize that? How do you go into a field that, and some folk are going to say, well, everything is not about money.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't know what America some of these folk living in right now, but if you don't have any ching chang,
You don't have a whole lot.
I mean, who wants to grow up in poverty? I know I didn't, but we did.
Well, you know, some liberals, not me, somewhere has coined that phrase. Money is necessary for all things. You know, money is
Yes.
one
You
of
said
the
it.
one of the most talked about concepts in the Bible. People don't know that because you hear people misquoting scripture saying money is the root of all evil. It doesn't say that. It says, for the love of money is the root of all evil. But money is a tool. And so we need to teach our kids how to utilize that tool in many aspects. And one of the first things you got to do when you got a kid, let that kid naturally develop a curiosity about what they like and don't like. Too often, and you see them at the games on the sideline, you got the helicopter dad, the helicopter mom, telling the coach, put my kid in, and he's better than Johnny, and all of this. And it may not be. Does he play like he practiced? If he play like he practiced and he don't practice good, then what? He's not going to get on the field.
Hey, but Doc, to that point, and I'm glad you brought that up when you used the vernacular helicopter mom or dad. I used to look at that as a negative, if you would, but then with some of the things that we're working through, and I mean, and us as a team, we've been working on the Responsible Fatherhood Initiative.
Yes.
So I'm not negative about the helicopter mom and dad because now I have something to compare it to, and that is those moms, and really our focus is on dads that they not helicoptering, they not driving, they not walking, they not.
And that's
Ubering.
true.
Yeah,
but,
you know what I mean.
Parenting, listen, we all know, we all got kids. Parenting is about balance. You to be a good parent, you need to discover that well in advance of your kids growing up. You got to find a balance in how to deal with your kids, and every one of them going to be different because they have different personalities and drive.
Doc, but how do you, Doc, explain that? Because you could drive a 1-ton vehicle, but you got to get a permit. You got to go through some training. But then this thing called parenting, man, it is something else. It has so many dynamics to it, and you don't have to get a permit.
No, you don't.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Okay, for example, now.
Hey, Mondo, give me a little bit of volume on Doc. Go ahead, Doc.
You were saying about your daughter becoming a nurse, and what we did with our children was the minute that each of them were born, we talked about you're going to college, you are smart. We gave them affirmations, and we constantly reinforced those affirmations, and we let them be themselves. Now my my middle daughter, she's tiny. She's like 4'10", right? And this child was a introvert from the moment she came into the world. She don't need friends. She want to be in a room, and she's not a social person. Okay, we let that stand. That was who she was. Okay, the oldest child, she's a social butterfly. She does right now. She's doing movies. She's flying all over the world, doing stuff and meeting people and all of that. And my son is a mama's boy. And so he has his strengths, and all of them were coached to find their way. And what parents got to do is support what your kids want to do, and then structure it around coaching them to succeed. You know what I'm saying? Don't be insistent or do it the way you want to.
Doc, see, Doc be throwing stuff out there, and I picked through some of what he be talking about, and one of the things that you just said, Doc, is one of the items, since we talking, the sit down is focusing on young people. When you talked about your son being a mama's boy.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I have a younger brother who
Oh yeah.
who was a mama's boy. I have, and I'm gonna go ahead and say that I know my nephew. Know I love him, but he's a mama's boy. My
Well,
sister's son.
what is a mama's boy?
Well,
A mama's boy is that boy that tends to capitulate his life around his mama, or she is over involved in his life, and he does not set boundaries for her. You get what I'm saying? He doesn't set. His mama come over to the house. She tell the wife, "You're not a good cook, or you don't keep house right," and all of these kind of things. Or Johnny, come and take me to the store, and it's 10 at night.
but Doc, what about the
it's a-
reverse? What about the reverse of that? With I hear what you're saying, and these young fellas being mama's boys. But what about the adverse effect that goes back the other way? From and Queen, you got a son.
Listen, when you said a mama's boy,
Mama has done everything for him. He don't know how to pay a bill. He doesn't know how to find a job. He's not good with relationships.
Man, hey, you know what? I don't know why I brought this up, because we too close to Thanksgiving, and I don't want my brother, my nephew, to be looking at me
you
crazy.
will not get the invite.
I'll get the invite. Come on now, and I'm gonna say this. Come on, when we have our Thanksgiving, and we have a large family, we figure out where we're gonna meet, somewhere in the state, somewhere in there. But our Thanksgiving, and I'm gonna go ahead and say it because everybody is familiar with my role on Let's Talk Nation with Attorney Greg Jackson. That's my brother, and we make a hell of a team. That's the Democrat, and that's his party affiliation. That's not who he is.
Right.
And
right.
on the other side, I'm a Republican, and that's not, that's my affiliation. That's not who I am.
Correct.
But at our Thanksgiving, I feel like I'm under attack. hey, and we eating, and somebody will bring up something or another, get a little smart, and know I gotta respond. And I'm like, come on, let's just have a good family.
So you being triggered.
I what?
You're being triggered.
Trick how, you mean?
I say triggered.
Triggered.
Well, they try. I don't pay it attention
and see, and a lot of times in family dynamics, what's going on is a power fight, and it's masked as something else. You are alpha male who has succeeded in many areas of your life. You're able to take setbacks and turn them into successes, and they look to you as a source of wisdom, but they resent it.
Well, and you know what? And I wouldn't say so much resentment, Doc. Here's what I would say: come from a family, and I don't know about, and I would think that it might be traditional or customary with you, Doc, as well as you, Sister Wynn, that I come from a family that's been traditionally, historically Democrats, and then it's like one of them deals. Wait, Joker, you go off to school and you come back. It's not that though. And one thing that Doc, since you used the word resent, I'm gonna go ahead and use it in this phrase or in this sentence. One of the things that I do resent is that for decades we've seen all of the encouragement in the world of encouraging black folk to get out and vote. But now we're in a season, we're in a cycle where it's not enough to just encourage black folk to vote. Now it's telling black folk, if you don't vote for such and such a person
Right.
or party,
Right.
that
Right.
you ain't black.
Right.
You know, you know. Last night I read an article about family dynamics and how people are disconnecting themselves from their family because they're realizing that so many family members are toxic and they don't want to deal with it. This is becoming a national trend that's going on, and it was talking about, you know, how do we go forward with so many people now deciding that they would rather have the peace than be connected to a sibling or a relative who is unbearable. So we have to start learning to call a thing a thing. You know what I'm saying? And
Learn how to do what, Doc? Call a thing a thing.
Yeah, and a lot of times what happens in family, Rod, is the boundaries are not clearly defined. People think they can say, do, and whatever to you because they're a relative. And you see it a lot with the dynamic between older relatives and children. And so what you have to do, it's hard to do, especially in our culture. You know, sit down, children should be seen and not heard and all of that kind of stuff. I had to fight that with my own kids and the older people in my family and their mom's family. They tell them, shut up. Hey, you don't tell my kids shut up.
Yeah.
Now, if my child wants to express themselves and they doing so respectively, they got just as much as right as you do to speak their mind. I never told my kids shut up.
Oh, I don't like that word.
But see,
Okay.
but growing up, we couldn't, our vernacular couldn't include the word shut up. Our vernacular included words such as yes ma'am,
Yeah.
no ma'am, yes sir,
Yes,
no
sir,
sir.
yes, yes.
And it always had yes in it.
Listen, respect
Yes.
is earned. Respect is a thing you earn. I don't care how old you are. See, we got this, it's so many mixed up. We got this thing about elders. You know, don't sass your elders. I used to hear that, and I'm like, what makes them an elder? Because I know some old fools. And an elder is a office in the church of a person who is wise and wisdom. That's the only thing that an elder is. It's not just because you're old, because it's a lot of old fools. It's a lot of them. And respect is a thing of knowing how to address and deal with another person in a kind and courteous manner. Treat them the way you want them to treat you. Okay?
But Doc, I think what is missing here, and I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna qualify because I know Doc would love to jump all over me on this, but I'm not gonna let him. The one thing that we're missing is there's a generational breakdown, generational
is.
gap,
Yes.
and Doc's response would be, "Don't make no excuse for that." And I get it, but you got kids raising kids now.
That's it.
And when I say kids raising kids,
That's
I gotta
it.
put the preference. You got kids having kids.
That's it. That's it.
You've
And they
always
don't-
had kids having kids.
Nah, Doc. No, you didn't, Doc. I mean,
Now,
not.
we have more of let's say I'm trying to be sensitive here. We have more people who are untrained in social interaction having kids. I put it that way. They don't know how
That's
to.
the nice way.
Yeah.
That's the nice way of putting it.
That's the
Yeah.
nice way, but what Doc is not saying, and I don't know why Doc coming off like he all, Mr. Nice Guy tonight. But it was a point in time when if you were unwed, if you were 16, 17, 18 and became impregnated, and I'm not exaggerating this,
Correct.
you'd see that young lady disappear from the community and go up north or down south, and by the time you saw her again, she wasn't pregnant. Matter of fact, you wouldn't even see her pregnant because they ship her off.
They
So,
ship her
yeah.
off.
So, but now, and I know times have changed, but now, I mean, I'm still not used to it. You will see young ladies, 15, 16-year-old, and you know, it's like a thing of pride.
Yes.
And
one here and one on your hand.
on your hand. You're right.
Like, whoa.
And so it was never to the point that it was something that was you didn't. It was shameful back then. You know, it took away from the family name.
Why was it shameful?
Because back then the norm was you would have a mate, more so a husband than a mate. It was shameful because it almost said something about, not almost, it said something back then about your character. And I know that it's a double-edged sword and a double standard because we're really predominantly talking about the young lady because we didn't focus on, okay, well, she couldn't have got that way by herself. So it wasn't.
And therein lies the problem. See, the stigma around that kind of stuff is an expectation of what society says is right and wrong. Okay? And when society pressures a person, it's about control. They want you to behave in a certain manner that they think you ought to. And that's one of the biggest crutches. Now, I'm not saying go out and do things because there is a framework for ethical living. But we too often in this country, we have continued to have this thing of social condemnation to people about making a choice that's for them. You don't have to deal with the consequences of their actions.
Yeah, you do. Yeah,
How?
you do.
How?
Okay, because this is the point of the show. Everybody kind of tuning into now.
Yes. But it will, because if that 15 or 16-year-old, 14, 15-year-old has a child, who's going to take care of that child?
That 15-year-old better.
But you know the reality of it, Doc. That
No.
15-year-old, where they getting the income from?
Yes.
Yeah, you know, me and Doc started on this conversation
hey.
maybe a week ago.
But
Doc
listen.
and I started on yeah.
Okay.
Doesn't every consequence have an action?
Yes, it does.
It does.
It
Every
does.
every action have a consequence. The
Yeah,
problem
but you
is we don't let people get their consequence. We jump out there Superman and get in front of them, and don't let them learn that lesson.
Is uneducated.
I tell you right now, this and now the real Doc finna come out. I ain't finna be polite with this. I bet you right now, if they stop giving out food stamps and all this stuff to people who have these out of wedlock kids, the rate would drop. You'd see the line at the pharmacy for birth control condoms, plastic wrap, anything they can get on the block. But we reward bad behavior and bad choices in this country.
You know, I hear what you're saying, and I'm agreeing with you
And
on that, because we are taking care of that 14 and 15-year-old child because they're getting that welfare and we're paying taxes on it. So,
we're doing it one way or the other.
Well,
And, the
front end or the back end.
the irony of it is, for those who just think the title on the show of Doc Polite's name, Polite is his real last name. and I like the fact that Doc is not being polite about his response, because I'm going to back you up on this one, brother. I agree with you 110%.
Let me put it in street terms, okay? We meet in the playground, right? Now, you the bully at the school. Everybody's scared of Rod Love. You run up on Doc, right? And you say, I'm the bully around here. Give me your lunch money. And I say, no, I ain't going to give you my lunch money. And you punch me in the mouth. And I haul off and pick up a stick and whack you in the head. Now, the whole dynamic of our relationship just changed, because you're not, as a bully, you're not used to people resisting you.
Right.
Okay? So now there's a consequence. You know that, hey, this dude's gonna fight back. Do I continue this? or do I understand that I can't do this with this person? See, we don't want people to deal with the consequence of their decisions. Too many times in this, we say uh, uh, addiction is a disease. It's not a disease. I've had this, and I've counseled for drugs. I worked in the court system for drug treatment. I'm gonna tell you, 99.9 tenths of 99 of 100. Most of those people are making choices to self-medicate rather than deal with the problems that they face. Okay? Because anything that you choose to put into you, okay, you're making a choice. When these, what causes baby?
Okay,
What
Doc, you
causes
gotta,
baby?
what causes babies?
Yeah.
Do we want to get into that?
No, it's a simple answer.
Doc, move your
Put your
hand.
hand.
I'm sorry. Hey, y'all know I talk with my hands, so. Hey, what causes baby? Sex.
Intercourse, yeah.
So when you have sex, what's the optimum thing that may happen?
You get pregnant.
Okay, do you make a choice to have sex?
Yes.
You're right.
Almost all babies are born by people who made a choice to have sex.
Yes.
So with that comes a responsibility, but we interject and intercede socially to minimize the damage to that person rather than letting them deal with the reality of the full weight of their choice.
Well, but what Doc, some of what Doc is saying, at least I'm gonna go ahead and define it as this, and I'm learning how to do this more and more. And I mean, it's surprising that I've gotten to this point in my life and I've not fully mastered it yet, but I am learning the power of allowing people to be in control of their own destiny and not soliciting me to be engaged in what they need to be responsible for.
Yeah.
Ice-T, I saw an interview with him and he talked about how his stardom and things of that nature has empowered him. And he says one of the things that he does not do, he understands the power of no. He understands the power of not letting other people engage him in their affairs. And he used a real simple example. And Doc, I started to call and wake you up to tell you this example that Ice-T used. But he says, here goes something real simple. Here's how we allow ourselves at times to take on other people's responsibility. And he says, hey, look, if my friend calls me up and says, hey, Rod, I need a ride to the airport. He says, okay, so when I say yes, he says, it's more involved than me just taking my friend to the airport. He says, now I gotta prepare, get myself up, and if it's one of those day travels, I gotta get up early. I gotta make sure I coordinate so I beat traffic. I gotta be over to pick him or her up timely. And if I don't do a whole bunch of things that fall within me being responsible, now if I don't get this person to the airport in time and they miss their flight, now I got something that I didn't do, and it gives this person or empowers this other person to have an issue with me, or now I'm putting other pressure on myself. And I know it's a simple example of taking somebody to the airport, but you know what I do?
What?
I get me an Uber. I take responsibility, or get one of them, well, not get one of those girls up, my wife or my older daughter, but you know, I take responsibility for me. And now I realize, man, if I'm heading out of town to go do some work, my car's sitting in the airport, they're gonna charge me enough to pay
a bill.
a bill, you know, with my car sitting there.
Yes.
And then I look at what it cost me to jump in the Uber that picks me up at my front door to get, it's cheaper, less, and it's really a lot more convenient for me too.
Yes.
So I mean, it's just really, we got to learn how to empower folk to be responsible for their own decisions.
It's funny you said that about the power of no. I used to teach a workshop called The Power of No. And what it was about, again, about boundaries. Setting boundaries in your life is not a bad thing. Okay? I remember years ago, I saw a friend of mine walking on the street, right? And I think I told you this off camera, Rod. And he was walking, and I saw him. I said, "Hey, Tom." His name not Tom. Tom, where you headed, man? He said, "Oh, I'm going down to the bus station." I said, "You need a ride?" He said, "Yeah." So he jumps in. He's got a duffel bag. I say, "Where you going?" He said, "I'm going over to Daytona." I said, "To Daytona?"
Say
He said,
going
"Yeah,
to where?
I'm to Daytona. I'm just going over there and come right back, right?" Well, guess what Tom had in his bag?
What?
4 kilos of cocaine.
I remember you told me about this.
And now, see, knowing how to set boundaries with people. Now, I knew some of what he did out on the street. Okay? But I thought about the fact that this man cares so little about anybody else. He put me in a situation that I
Yes.
might have ended up getting a drug kingpin
Yeah.
charge and doing federal time simply for being a friend.
Right.
Now, how much of a friend was he to me? Because a
Not-
real
not
friend
a
would have
good
said,
one.
"Hey, no, man, I got it, or whatever." But that's often what happens in your life. A
But
lot
what
of
did
times,
what did you learn from that, Doc? How did that shape your life and making better decisions for?
and it scared me so bad because I had did my own dirt. I ain't gonna say that, but and when you get your head out the line mouth, Mama say, "Don't snatch your head out the line mouth. You gotta ease it out." But when you get your head out, don't stick it back in there. And so you got to know, that's part of my process, Rod. Remember I told you I don't go to places I used to go and deal with the people I used to deal with? That was part of that. Because I understood as long as I was in that environment, I had a chance of being impacted greatly in my life by it. I could be standing there, somebody decide, hey, they're gonna hit your boy. I catch a
Right.
bullet.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
And,
So
and Doc, your
I-
conversation, but your conversation in that example, I gotta tell you, and they say God shows favor on babies and fools. Well, we know we're not babies anymore.
Correct.
And so it's good that he's benevolent to fools, but the lesson that Doc is given is a lesson that young people and old fools can learn from still today.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Because
it's
some of
just
these-
some. Go ahead, Queen.
Because some of these young people, like you say, when you say don't put your head back in the lion's mouth, but they continue to put their head back in there. So when are you going to learn?
Yeah, but you know something, and I love it because when we start, we know the show go by so fast. And Doc, if you don't mind, I'm gonna put you on the spot. Doc and I, we could, Doc and I, we talking before you know it, the show is over with. But
Okay.
in this perspective, Doc and I, we're talking about it from our perspective. We're talking about it from a male's perspective. And I will tell you, I am raising my two daughters. I'm embedding in them skills and talents that I believe that they're gonna need when I'm long gone. But the one thing that I can't teach my daughters are how to grow up to be a woman. That's my wife's job.
Yes.
But as we're talking about this, and Doc and I, we're again talking about it from a male perspective, and decision making, it's not focused just on males or it's everybody.
Correct.
But
Correct.
from a woman's point of view, and you see these young people, and then you also see some still old fools that are females. What would you say about it?
Well, it's so funny you would say that, Mr. Love, because I do have my granddaughter that is at my house, and she's 7 years old. So I am start teaching her, one, like you say, respect. Two, to try to find out what does she likes to do. She loves math. She likes to run. So I'm learning her, but in the flip side of it, I tell her, school, we need to focus on school.
How old is your youngest child?
My youngest one is 26.
26.
My son,
And,
26.
and so your grandbaby is how old?
7.
And so I love this conversation. I hate that we got to the end, but I know my kids, and I'm gonna just talk about my mom and my grandparents. My parents told me about how hard they were on them, but I didn't see it because by the time we came along, they had softened up. So how are you dealing with your 7-year-old now?
Listen, and it's so funny you say that because my middle daughter, Sharika, she was like, "Mom, you ain't do us like that. You was starring with us. You put that foot down. On Saturday mornings, we had to get up, wash dishes, clean up." And my 7-year-old, I don't even hardly do that with her. I tell her to pick up, but not. I don't do her like I did my kids. They say I'm getting soft now. I'm like, no, I'm just getting wiser.
So,
It's like,
so
no,
why do
Ma,
you treat
getting soft.
why do you not treat her that way?
I guess because I really don't know.
I can tell you.
I could tell you why.
Go ahead, Doc.
When you had your kids, you were young, you were learning to parent. And now you have learned what works and what doesn't. And you came to realize that a lot of the things that you did weren't effective parenting. So you take more time and explain, you look at, is this child capable and all of that. So it's just maturing.
That's true. That is true.
It's just maturing and stuff. Because I told my mom that. I'm like, you deal with these great grandkids like different than us. I say, but I know you don't have the energy you used to have.
That's true.
Hey, see, Doc, you stole my closing line.
Yeah.
You stole my closing line.
Yeah.
I was gonna say.
I understood it.
Yeah.
Yes. It's
When
like-
you're a young parent, you're like, stop that, sit down, come over here, and leave your sister alone.
Yes. Now it's like I don't really have, just like Doc said, the energy. It's like, oh my goodness. And now I find myself talking to her
See.
and with her instead of talking at her.
And you got these
And-
different schools that say, yeah, communicate with your child and do, and I communicated with my child when my kids were younger. It's just that I communicated a lot quicker, a lot sharper. I had a lot of energy.
Yes.
I didn't mind moving from the living room to their room real quickly so that got my point across.
Yes.
But
Yes.
nowadays, I may talk from a distance a little bit long. I may tolerate, but my kids have been trained to the point that now I might have to call them twice. When they were growing up, I had to whisper and they'll be there because they know if they wasn't, I'd be to them.
Oh yeah. Oh yes. Oh yes.
Hey, we about to tune off. Hey, time goes by. Hey, let me just go ahead and close out.
Hey, Queen, I be praying for them girl cuts.
Hey, for those of you who tuned in to the sit down, the sit down takes place every Monday from 6 to 6:45. Please tune in. If you want to join us, it's easy to catch us. You can dial 407-494-2406.
Yes.
And we just want to bring in a different vantage point. We want to let the community know what it is that you're doing, but we want to have a civil conversation. They're fun sometimes, and
Yes.
sometimes they're combative.
Yes.
Hey, I got to tell y'all, Doc Polite, appreciate you, brother. Sister Wynn, we'll see y'all next Monday on The Sit Down.
Have a good evening.